Hello everyone, how are you? My name is Julia Manicucci and I'm a Brazilian living in Romania. In this channel, I talk a lot about my experience here and everything I learned in this amazing country. Linguistic enthusiasts, curious minds,
Buongiorno.
people that are in love with these beautiful cultures of Brazil and Romania. Let's get into a linguistic journey because today we are gonna compare the two languages, Romanian and Portuguese. It's the third video I make about it, so make sure you watch also the first and the second. And let's go!
Grazie.
Let's embark in this experience talking about similarities, differences, and intriguing quirks. Let's dive right in. So imagine yourself walking in the enchanting streets of Bucharest or enjoying a beach in Rio, savoring the culture and immersing yourself in the melodic sounds of Romanian and Portuguese. These two languages both have captivating histories, unique characteristics, but let's start with the similarities they share. So, firstly, they are both part of the Romance languages, which means that they evolved from Latin. This means that they share some vocabulary, some grammatical features, and of course, common roots that they have inherited from their Latin ancestor. Let's take, for instance, the words good day. In Romanian, you say bună ziua. In Portuguese, you say bom dia. Can you hear the resemblance? It's fascinating how these two languages keep some of their roots, even though they changed with the time, with the speakers, and with the neighbors each country had. Let's talk about vocabulary a little bit. Even though Romanian and Portuguese have very different, distinct vocabularies, they share some very similar words, similar cognates, which are words that look alike and have exactly the same meaning. For example, the word in Romania animal is very similar, not to say the same, as the word animal in Portuguese. Similarly, the word viața is very similar to the word vida in Portuguese. Viața is life in Romanian and vida is life in Portuguese. Other words that behave in the same way, it means that they have the same meaning and they look alike in Portuguese and in Romanian, are, for example, universitate and universidade. They both mean university. Apa in Romanian and água in Portuguese, they both mean water. Flori in Romanian and flores in Portuguese, they both mean flowers. Limba in Romanian and língua in Portuguese, they both mean language or tongue. Isn't it crazy how words can travel through borders but keep their essence? However, if we said about the cognates, we also have the false cognates, which means words that look alike, sound alike, but their meaning is totally different. Let's take, for example, the word turma in Romanian or turma in Portuguese. While in Romanian it means a group of sheep, in Portuguese it means a group of people, very often related to a group of students or a group of friends. It's easy to see how one could be misled by false cognates. I don't think it would be fun or nice to call your friends in Romanian a turma, right? Another word that caused me a lot of confusion when I came in Romania was perna, because perna in Romanian means pillow, while in Portuguese it means leg. Nothing to do. Dor in Romanian means a nostalgic feeling of missing someone or something, while in Portuguese, dor is pain, like dor de cabeça would be a headache, and so on. Other words that could be considered false cognates are aluna, when in Romanian it means peanut, in Portuguese it means a student girl. Pai in Portuguese means father, while in Romanian, pai is a straw. And finally, amar in Portuguese is to love, the verb to love, while in Romanian, amar means bitter. Now, let's shift to the pronunciation. Romanian and Portuguese, they both have their own kind of intonation, their distinctive sounds, that gives them some musical qualities somehow. Romanian is known for the nasal sounds, while Portuguese, especially the Brazilian Portuguese, is very known for their musical rhythm. But be careful not to mix them up. For example, bună or bun in Romanian will be said boa or bom in Portuguese. They mean good. The pronunciation is quite similar, but not exactly the same. Going a little bit deeper than that, we have very different vowel systems. Portuguese has a very rich system of vowels that can be like closed or open, and they make a very big difference in the language and in the words. Let's take the word casa or house, for example. The first A is very open, while the second A is very closed, so it's casa. Romanian, in the other hand, has a much simpler vowel system, and the vowels are usually pronounced in a more direct manner. For instance, the word casa, which also means house, is pronounced with the very open and crisp sound in the first. It only changes the second A because it has that little accent up there, which makes the difference. These two words happen to be pronounced in a very similar way, but I feel like the difference between the vowels go deeper and stronger in the letters, in the vowels E and O. For example, in Portuguese, to say grandmother, we say avó, and to say grandfather, we say avô. For Portuguese speakers, there is a huge difference between these two words, avô and avó. The same happens with the pronunciations of olho, eye, and óleo, oil. The pronunciation for these two words is almost the same, but the difference is made on the first vowel, óleo and olho. The same happens with the letter E. We have two ways of pronouncing the letter. It's E or E. A fast example I can remember is, for example, in the two words pera, that is the fruit, pear, or pera, that is the short version of the word espera, to wait. If you are Romanian, tell me here down below if you can see the difference between these sounds. O and O and E and E. But let's talk now about grammar. The grammar, the backbone of each language, right? Romanian and Portuguese show very crucial, very big differences in the grammar. Also similarities. For example, in Romanian, like in most Latin languages, the adjective follows the noun it modifies. For example, casa, mare. It also happens with Portuguese, which would be casa grande. In English, it would be big house. So in English is different than Portuguese and Romanian together. It's a linguistic dance where the order matters. However, for me, one of the hardest things of the Romanian language is the fact that the article comes after the word, making it a longer word. For example, in Romanian, if you are gonna say the feet, you don't say le picioare, you say picioarele. While in Portuguese, we don't say pés os, we say os pés. Os is the article and pés is feet. But language wouldn't be so special if it wouldn't be for the expressions and idioms, right? Let's explore a few intriguing examples. In Romanian, when you want to emphasize that something is very expensive, like you would say costa o avere, which means literally it costs a fortune. In Portuguese, we could say custa os olhos da cara, which means it costs the eyes of your face. Quite an extravagant way of saying that something is expensive, isn't it? Romanian also has many expressions that are super creative and interesting, and I have 2 videos about it, so make sure you're gonna check them out because they are super fun and worthy watching. Finally, it's important to consider the cultural influences both languages had throughout the years. Romanian bears the influences from the Slavic neighbors, for example, Bulgarian and Serbian influences, due to its geographical proximity. And it happens the same with some Turkish influences. On the other hand, Portuguese has been extremely influenced by Arabic language, thanks to the Moros influences on the Iberian Peninsula. Romanian words that have Slavic influences are, for example, bălărie, which means tall grass, copil, that means child, coja, which means the peel of a fruit, a crust of a bread, shell of nuts, or bark of trees, and many other words. Portuguese that have Arabic influences are cotton, that we say algodão, or handcuff, that we say algema, sugar, that we say açúcar, and açafrão, that is saffron, and several others. It's said that most of the words that start with al in Portuguese came from the Arabic language. These languages might be really different, but they share something very important: the history and the beauty of the people that speak them. Now I want to know from you, what are the biggest differences that you can spot in Portuguese and in Romanian? Once I said it was easier for a Romanian to learn Portuguese than a Portuguese speaker to learn Romanian, but many people disagreed with me. So what do you think? Do you think it's easier or it's hard the same way for both of the speakers? What's your favorite Romanian word? And what's your favorite Portuguese one? Do you enjoy Portuguese? Are you trying to learn it? Or are you exploring and trying to learn some Romanian? They might sound different, but for sure, these languages are first-degree cousins. I hope you guys enjoyed this linguistic adventure and gained the newfound appreciation for the remarkable world of languages. Thank you so much for joining me today, and if you like the video, please don't forget to leave me a like, to subscribe, and until our ways cross again, la revedere, adeus, ciao ciao, and goodbye. Vă pup, vă iubesc, pa pa!